All right, welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I'm Scott, once again joined by Rob, and this time we are here for a special build-up show for AEW Full Gear 2022. It's special in the sense that we've covered a bit of AEW on this channel before, but we've never actually done a build-up show for AEW. So if you're new here to the channel, welcome. We'll explain exactly what this is as we go along. But the main aim is to get yourself and ourselves hyped up for tonight's show. So we're looking forward to it. We're going live and we're going to be predicting the show and we're going to be talking about all the biggest talking points in AEW because it's been a busy few months since we last spoke AEW, Rob. So we'll be back just after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, so as we said, we are here to preview, predict, hype ourselves up and get ready for Full Gear. But I think Rob's a bit too hyped there. What happened there, mate?
But I shouldn't have put too many marshmallows in when it went up my nose.
Right, we were rushing, and of course, we only started saying that we were going to do this quite recently. It was a kind of a last-minute thing whether or not we were going to be able to do it. Again, we've never actually done a build-up show for an AEW event, so this is exciting. And what better way to do it than just kind of last-minute and thrown together? But in that, I'm trying to rush about, get ready, do a bit of research. Stuff like that. I was making some late night garlic bread. I burnt my hand doing so. I rushed down the garlic bread. I try and ask you what's going on with you. You're making hot chocolate. Oh my goodness. But finally, we've got in. It's time to talk AEW. And as I mentioned just before we went to our little intro clip there, it's been an interesting few months, and I'm sure that's going to be a bit of the talk tonight as well, because we just haven't spoken about any of that madness. Don't worry, I know it's old news. We're not going to go too in depth on any of it, but of course we're talking about the fallout from All Out, as people call it now, because that has played a big role in AEW's kind of future and its past few months now, and it's been a big reason why I haven't watched too much of it, Rob, I got to say. But been looking for the card here tonight, been kind of getting myself refamiliarized with what's been going on. And I'm getting myself in the mood for it, Rob. How are you feeling about the card and what we're looking at tonight?
You know what? When we discussed it, I didn't realize the card was as packed as it was. And I always think sometimes brands can suffer from overfilling something and not giving the matches enough time to breathe. We say this all the time about WWE, and again, I feel like either lower your amount of matches on the card or stretch it over 2 nights. I don't think AEW wants to do this 2-night thing like WWE has. So I just think there's like 13 matches on the card. Is that too much? Because their shows are very quick paced.
Yeah, I mean, it can be overkill, and that's been one of the issues with their shows in the past. I do think they've been putting some of the best wrestling shows of the past few years, don't get me wrong. But if there's one criticism, it's the length. And like you say, that's kind of got a little bit better with WWE lately. Inevitably, there's always going to be kind of mentions of the two together. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, looking at the card now, especially for me, someone who's, I got to be honest, this is me trying to get back into AEW. That's what this show is for me. And when I'm hit with a card that is, super, super long, and I don't really want to stay up all night, it's a bit of a concern for me, So, you mentioned there 13 matches. Of course, we'll go through the card. We'll talk about predictions and things like that. One of them, I think 3 of them are actually on the pre-show 0 hour, which of course will still be live for some of that as well. So we're going to have a little bit of a watch along for that as well. So that'd be interesting. So we'll kind of instantly react to some of the things that we see there. But even still, 10 matches on the rest of the card. It's long enough. Look, I don't want to start this moaning straight away. The whole point of these streams is to get us excited for the, I was going to say PLE, but that's another company's term, pay-per-view even still. And I want to kind of be that way about this show. And again, there are things that I am actually looking forward to seeing, but sometimes it's just too much, And you want to give everyone time as well. Like otherwise, how can you make 10 matches work? Without like making it too
The
long
thing is,
or rushing some of them.
like, I mean, I'll pull 1, 2. There's 3 matches, right? Jericho versus Danielson versus Claudio versus Sammy Guevara. Yeah, that one. Let's say Britt Baker versus Soraya and Moxley versus MJF. Now that's just 3 of the matches. Now, there's no way you're going to get that done in 15 minutes because they want to tell this proper story. And I'm just really slightly confused on. I don't mind that the card looks stacked. I'm not against the card. My thing is, if they're going to give you 3 hours, is that enough time? Like the match, as I said, it's more on the guys showcasing. Yes, their wrestling is a lot of a quicker pace, but give the matches time to breathe. Like I want to be kind of taken on a roller coaster when I watch wrestling, not just to be built up and then I get so tired you just drop.
Yeah.
We get that a lot, especially in the UK, especially at this time of night as well. And I always think that they cater more to the Americans because obviously, yes,
which makes sense in some ways. But yeah, but even live though, like in the audience, like imagine sitting there watching 13 matches. Like, come on, it's a lot. But hey, look, let's not be too negative on it. Let's go through some of the cards that we got going on here as well. We won't mention the pre-show matches just yet. We'll get to those later on. We'll talk about the main card for now. Now, we'll kind of quickly touch on them, and then we'll go match per match, and we'll do a little bit of a prediction as we go along. Anyone that's watching on, with us, please let us know, and what you think is going to go on. So the first one to mention here, of course, as we can see from the graphic, is Samoa Joe, the Ring of Honor TV champion versus the TNT champion in Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, this is actually for the TNT title as well. From what I've got, and again, a lot of this is going to be based on, I haven't watched much lately, and we'll probably get to that in a bit. What I've got there is they're all kind of heels, it feels like. But we'll get to that later. I'm going in depth on this match too much already. We've got the Acclaimed putting up their AEW World Tag Team titles against Swerve and Our Glory, of course, trying to chase the titles and get them back. We've got, as you know, you didn't mention this one actually, but this is the interim women's title with Toni Storm event against Jamie Hayter. Then we've got Sting and Darby Allin versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, which I can't believe I'm saying. And then we've got TBS champion, although you wouldn't know it because she hasn't had the title for a while, in Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose, of course, who's stolen the title. We've got Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Luchasaurus. And we've got the Death Triangle. Happening? As far as I know, why? What's going on otherwise?
Because I'm sure I see earlier on Twitter that Luchasaurus is injured.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you know.
We'll have to look into that. So then the trios titles are going up as well for grabs between the Death Triangle, who are the champs, against the returning Elite. And of course, we've got the main event coming up with, as you did mention earlier on, Jon Moxley defending against MJF, which is going to be a huge one to talk about, and Britt Baker versus Saraya as well. So that's going to be a really interesting one as well. I know Saraya hasn't had the kind of maybe the warm reception that some people have expected, like a Daniel Bryan return or an Edge return, which is a real shame. I think part of that is the changing company, and part of that is, well, I don't know. Is it 5 years? Is it the things that happened in those 5 years? It's kind of hard to tell. But either way, I'm excited to see her back in the ring. And really happy for her. And hopefully it is going to be a good showing there as well. I think that's all the matches that we got so far. And of course, we've got some to mention from the kickoff as well. We've got a comment early on here. Richard Roble says, spoiler, Jon Moxley wins. Referee screws MJF from the match. Okay, what? Why? How? What? Why are you saying that, Richard? But thanks for dropping in your comments. Of course, earlier today, we did our Survivor Series predictions episode, and Richard, you were there for that. So we thank you and appreciate that you've come back for our AEW show as well. This is an exciting time to be here and talk AEW again, because as we said, it's been a long time since we've done it for this, for the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And the build-up shows are usually something we do in WWE events. We haven't actually done them for AEW, so it's going to be interesting to kind of do it under a different kind of guise tonight. Yeah. Any update then on Jungle Boy Jack Perry?
Well, it's the Jungle Boys. It was at a Comic-Con convention, and there's obviously they're hyping things up, but it literally just says on 4 days ago from multiple sites, Luchasaurus, he's just the latest AEW star to have bitten the injury bug. Apparently, it's a leg, but it says he's dealing with an injury. So,
Luchasaurus is the one injured.
Yeah, Luchasaurus. So that could mean anything, though. You know, so maybe he can go tonight, and that's how they write him off TV.
Yeah. Yeah, really strange. Really strange because I haven't seen much about that. So, and I was watching earlier the promo packages that AEW put up on their actual YouTube channel and stuff like that. So, it would be weird if it's not going ahead. What match are you most looking forward to? Let's start with that.
Well, there's a lot. There is a lot. I love watching the Britt Baker match.
Yep.
I always feel like she delivers. Can Saraya be at that level though when she hasn't been in the ring for 5 years? That's my question.
That's the concern, isn't it?
If you're gonna put her in the ring with any woman from AEW, I mean Britt Baker is, I guess, one of the best. Put her in the ring with. That one, Wardlow, Samoa Joe, and Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, 3 massive guys just attacking each other. I'm down.
Yeah.
But the one for me, Moxley versus MJF.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Of course, MJF, of course, is destined for the top, no matter what way you look at it. I think at this very moment in time, something drastic would have to go wrong for that to not be the case. And it just feels like this moment has been waiting for him. You know, this has been, a long time coming. Of course, he returned, and that was a big controversy in itself. He returns. He's the holder of the chip. He's cashing in the chip, so to speak. And it's going to be a big one. I mean, the match itself, interesting to see how well they perform together, and interesting to see where AEW want to go with it going forward, because you'd imagine that the plan was to cash in on Punk, of course. There we go. First mention of of the thing that's kind of changed the course of AEW. And then you think, well, MJF was going to maybe beat Punk, but we saw the MJF Punk thing play out already. Really needs to hit a feud. So would he have lost the title to someone else? I really don't know. Bit of a strange one there. How are you feeling though, generally overall? Again, talking about AEW. How do you feel about AEW? When was the last time you felt a connection with AEW? Have you been watching it lately? Am I assuming too much that you've been like me, or what?
A little, like. So obviously, I'm a huge fan of. I think I could say between me and you, and obviously the core 4 of us that do this, the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling, are more WWE guys. But that's only because that's what started this podcast on the original channel, and obviously now we've moved over to our own one and branded off from Rebellious Noise. But that doesn't say that. That's not to say that we don't watch other wrestling. Like, I love NXT 2.0 at the moment. Like, it's so good, so good, and I'm really enjoying it. And that's something that we don't talk about. But if there's a chance to watch wrestling, I'm all for it. Whether that's AEW, Impact, Major League Wrestling, GCW, not so much. But then I'm not about a lot of the blood matches. I don't mind them if blood needs to be used in a match. Then
if they're placed, but not a full federation, basically.
You know. But then I'm all for some matches are fantastic. So any sort of wrestling, like, I can get behind it and enjoy it. 100%, I'm invested. And AEW does have me invested, but they just went through that really weird time of the Punk stuff and the Elite stuff. And I think it just kind of, for the people that are casual watchers of it and not like die hard, the casual ones kind of, for me anyway, I felt like I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah. And it kind of put me off the show for a while.
Yeah.
And it's only because like this, is it a PLE, a pay-per-view?
I think they're still using the original term.
Pay-per-view. Yeah. But yeah, since this, and I was like, do you know what? I want to be invested. So I put myself out to like go back and watch what's been going on and the MJF stuff and all that. And I mean, I'm enjoying it. There's things that I don't like about it, but hey, that's the same with WWE. But there's things that I really enjoy, and I'm looking forward to the card. I think this could be the turnaround for what AEW needs. And
Mate, that's what I'm hoping as well. I mean, like you say there, we've mainly covered it. It's clear on this channel, WWE, but we have done a bit of AEW over the years. Sometimes we've had shows we really want to talk about, and it just hasn't worked out. I think for me, All Out, the one where Daniel Bryan come in, Adam Cole come in, that was the peak of AEW. That was the pinnacle. That's the highest point, because it was just getting better and better and better constantly. Now the problem comes when too many people came in, and then all these kind of concerns of, well, what about this person? Oh, they're not being used now, and oh, this is too many, and you've rushed out and stuff like that, or this has taken too long, or whatever it may have been. There were like a little kind of criticisms and concerns that weren't quite there. Now, again, this isn't like, I don't want this to be a bashing AEW session, because we're here to get excited about their show. But for me, I completely lost interest. It just, the Punk stuff, like anything that's coming up now, that Punk's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But it just got so much. At first, it was like, oh my gosh, did you see what happened in the press conference? After the 67th headline, I just kind of didn't care anymore. I couldn't believe how little I cared. Like when a headline comes up now about Punk, it's not even clickbaity to me. I don't want to know. And it's not just Punk, it's both sides of it. The Elite, you know, I was interested to see when they come back, but because I felt like it was the more likely one of the two, how it was going to happen. And even that, they've kind of weirdly done it, in my opinion. But I'm excited to see how they perform to kind of, prove themselves and stuff like that. And I'm sure they're excited to be back themselves. But yeah, as a product, it's happened at the worst time. And for WWE, it's happened at the best time, because WWE has kind of become really fun again, surprisingly, with all the things that have happened there. And AEW, they've just completely switched, and I can't believe it. This time last year, I could not imagine that. And again, the last 3 years, I would say, because of the way they do their pay-per-views, and we spoke about it last time we did cover it, I think it was Revolution, where it was like it hurts them, but it helps them, like spreading them out. They feel massive when you finally get to them, but then it's almost too much, and that bit in between. Now they do have those specials, like they had the Grand Slam a little while ago, which is where Saraya come back and stuff like that, and they're good. I like hopping in and out watching those ones as well. But for me, it's the pay-per-views where it's out, and I get really excited about them usually, and I keep up with AEW as much as I can. But I've been so sick of all the negativity that I just haven't even bothered for the last however long it's been since All Out, 3-4 months, whether it's been 5 months, I don't know now. But I just have not been bothered with AEW. So I've seen stuff in the background. I saw Saraya join, but I feel like it's going to take a lot to win the fans back over, or the casual fans, or the people that were like on the fence about certain things already. But honestly, there's been times where I wasn't on the, I was full gear, sort of, you could say, with AEW. Like, I was loving it. It was definitely the best thing. Like their pay-per-view matches and stuff like that. Like, it's just thinking about, for example, remember when we were talking about the Bucks versus Lucha Bros? Just that stuff, for example.
Match?
The cage match, I remember that show just being like, to steal a term from Sheamus, banger after banger. It was so exciting to be watching AEW, and then that's really gone for me. So a big part of this tonight for me is you've said the same thing. It's about trying to give it another chance. I'm not saying it's terrible or anything like that. There's so much going on there. There's so much talent on this roster, but I got a really bad taste in my mouth after All Out, and I kind of just could not be bothered. And it come at a bad time for them, because I was just so interested in what WWE was doing. And you can be a fan of both. You can enjoy both. Up until about a year ago, that was the case for me. But yeah, just really not been bothered lately. But good to hear we're both kind of on the same page with that one.
Yeah, I think the other thing, I don't want to bash the brand, because some of the stuff they've done has been fantastic. We have another option to watch wrestling. I don't want to do WWE is better than this, and AEW is better for this. And obviously, there's always going to be a comparison. I guess if Impact was banging and booming and really putting a stamp on things, then they'd be in this conversation as well. However, Impact's doing all right. I mean, I enjoy it. It's not to everyone's taste, but I think it's okay. But sometimes they sign a wrestler because they're like, oh, the hottest free agent on the market. And I'm like, great. but do something with them.
Yeah, if you ain't got a plan for it, maybe you don't need them. Yeah,
because I feel for the wrestler because they could be doing other stuff. Obviously, AEW has this indie; they can do other bookings and all that sort of stuff, and I love that. But if they're doing a gimmick in AEW and they've got to continue it on the indies, it either works or it doesn't. And I just think, Ruby Soho, like,
what's she doing?
Such
Yeah,
a. Do you know what I'm saying?
I genuinely don't know what she's doing.
I just think that there's such a great company. AEW is a great company, and yeah, they're going through this a bit of a awful session at the moment. You know, they have got the likes of Jericho, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli, and so I mean, just those three alone, without anyone else, and you think, God, they're like locker room leaders, and even Moxley to put into it, but it just confuses me, like how you can have them sort of. I don't know. I just you have so many big names, and then you sign someone for the reason to have them as another part of your show to be a spectacle. But you've got so many spectacles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
like Miro
just gets lost. Yeah.
That's kind of Miro, like it's just so many. I know you can't do it with everyone, but at the same time, it's just a bit of I know that's it. You can't please everyone. And if you collect too many kind of shiny toys, then someone's got to go in certain places. And what they can do well is things like Ring of Honor. I think that's been a great little addition. I think doing things like that where they had the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, they're using the Ring of Honor title. I like what Jericho's doing there. I find it quite funny. Bryan Danielson, I should say, being involved with that as well. But it's still, and there's a lot of titles, so I guess you can kind of give someone an importance elsewhere on a card. But at the same time, it did get, I think all the fears and criticisms about AEW came true 6 or so months ago. Around that kind of period, it just started to get worse and worse. So anyway, we got Daniel here again. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us. Appreciate that you were with us earlier on in our live stream of Survivor Series predictions as well. If you're new here, basically what we do is we do usually before a show, we do a predictions and preview episode. On the night of an event, we do a build-up show like this one, and then we do a recap and review the next day as well. Of course, we don't always do it for AEW, and this is the first build-up we're doing for AEW, but we're happy to have you here, and really do appreciate it. Drop in your comments. Let us know what you think is going to happen tonight on the show. And also, we've been touching it on already. What are your general thoughts of AEW at the moment? Are you concerned about the future? Is this your chance to kind of give AEW another go the way we're kind of seeing it as well? Like, I'm not saying if it's a bad show or not that great, I'm going to be like, that's it, never watching again. That's not quite what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I hope this brings back some of that magic for me, because again, it was just so exciting to watch and so refreshing to be to be seeing something different, to have that kind of different option, different style and stuff like that from WWE. But now that WWE is really fun, I kind of get my fix over there. So if AEW can come back and hit me with another punch and be like, whoa, look what we're doing over here though, it's just as fun, then hey, as a wrestling fan, what more can you want? Two companies firing on all cylinders with, again, we said it earlier on, look at the roster, look at the card, it's so stacked. If you gave me this card months ago, I'd be really, really excited for it. The only reason why I'm not massively excited about this show is because I haven't been watching. I haven't given it the time of day, because everything AEW just felt like, ugh, is that what they're doing over there, is it? And I don't want to be like that about AEW. To their credit, everything I've watched in preparation for watching this event tonight, I've enjoyed, from the promo packages and stuff like that. I've been watching week in, week out to kind of get the nuanced things I might not have liked and stuff like that. But generally speaking, it feels like it's going in the right direction. So I don't want people to think this is just bashing the company, bashing Tony Khan's booking or anything like that, because it's the complete opposite of that. What I'm saying is you might have been doing something really good. I just ain't been watching because you lost me months ago. And it's like, that's exactly what happened with WWF. They were putting on the better show for ages against WCW. They were doing the better show, but it took a while for them to take back over. And again, not trying to always make it a competition, but realistically, when you've got two shows to watch and one's a bit of a kind of, that sounds like a bit of a mess, and one's fresh and exciting all of a sudden, realistically, you are going to kind of pick one or the other. We've only got so many hours in the day, man, So if they can win me back, then I'm all for it. But
I look at AEW at the moment, as in, and you'll understand a reference. Most people from like the UK will understand it if you watch football, as in soccer for the American watchers, viewers. But when a team gets promoted from the Championship to the Premiership, they have a wonder season, and then the second season they're trying to find their feet. By the third season, sometimes they're a little bit shaky. They start dropping down the table, and they've got to kind of just grow their legs again, or kind of get themselves higher up, and rebrand themselves and such.
Yeah.
And I feel like AEW in that situation where they had 2 banging years. They done great in the COVID era, which could have affected them majorly.
Yeah, it was a real risk.
They still put on shows. They still put a content out. Then this Punk stuff happened. Like Punk joined, and then not even a year later, Punk's kind of, I don't know if he's left or whatever's going on. And I think it's just got to put a real dirt stain on AEW. And it's not, if it was just Punk, I think it'd be like, well, we'll deal with it. But it's not. It's the Bucks, Kenny. There's, do you know what I mean? There's other people. And because of that, it just kind of caused a stain. And I think, as I said, for the casuals, they're like, well, what else is going on back there? For me, I was like,
it just seems like a mess. But even before that, the amount of people that were calling each other out and like not fun kind of work shoot stuff. Do you know what I mean? Or like it was like legit, like the stuff with Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston, like stuff like that. And then the stuff with Hangman Page and Punk. It's just so many rumors and stuff like that. It was like at first it was like, oh, a little bit of tension backstage, eh? And then by the end of it, I was like, I don't care. Like it's not exciting to me anymore. Like it's just it's run its course. And again, don't want it to be a bashing session for AEW because they've given me some of my favorite wrestling matches, moments, and shows. Maybe of my wrestling viewing life. Do you know what I mean? And that's high praise. They've given me some great experiences as a wrestling fan already. And I think your analogy there, talking about like a football team who've been promoted to the Premiership and potentially could go back down a few years later because they've got to find their feet again. Who are they? Everyone's sussed out their tactics and stuff like that. Maybe that's what's happened with Tony Khan and AEW, right? Maybe we need a new era. We need a new phase. And we feel a bit like, okay, that's because that's going to happen naturally anyway. But I feel like we've had a real kind of definitive turn, and tonight, Full Gear could be that step in the right direction in a new way, and get rid of this year. It's been a tough year for the company, This is the last big event of the year. I don't know if we got any of those kind of super duper dynamite rampage specials or anything like that coming up, but from what I'm seeing at the moment, this is the last kind of big thing from the year, pay-per-view wise at least. So let's hope this is like a new leaf, really. Let's hope this is going to give new kind of life and blood and freshness and exciting kind of prospects for AEW going forward. But again, let us know what you think is going to happen tonight, guys, in the comments below. We really do appreciate anyone that's joining us live. And I know a lot of people do like to watch our build-up shows on demand just because we do go in depth on kind of topics like that we might not get time to talk about on predictions or recap shows or anything like that. So we appreciate anyone that does that because I know there's parts of this where we're very specifically talking about something that's about to happen, but we appreciate those that come in for that kind of chat even after the event as well. But let's get into some of these matches going more in detail now, Rob. And of course, we're going to try and be back here tomorrow as well to give our recap and review of the show. Look, it's an early start for the Americans though, Rob. Look at that, 12 p.m. for us over here in the UK, 4 a.m. or 7. That's meant to say a.m. There's a mistake there, Rob. Let's fix that. Or 7 a.m. In the morning for the Americans. So if you can't get up in time to watch that with us, guys, of course, all of our streams are available on demand after it. Anyway, there we go. Look, we fixed it. How quick was that? Look at that, mate. Right. Anyway, let's talk about the show in detail. Of course, in 24 minutes time, actually, the clock's just changed. That's how time works. It's going to be time for 0 hour. And again, we'll act like a little bit of a watch along in this stream as well. So give us your thoughts as we go through these matches. We'd love to hear them. But let's start out with let's go with the big meaty men slapping meat match, right?
I love saying that, by the way. 3 big men smacking me. It's
course,
my favourite thing when you talk about wrestling.
Right. Of course, as we mentioned earlier on, we've got TV champion, or ROH TV champion, I should say, Samoa Joe versus TNT champion of AEW fame, Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs, who sadly has got no title there. Now, what we usually do on this channel is that we have a leaderboard when it comes to our predictions. We're gonna have to think about how we're gonna do this going forward because yeah, it'd be good to kind of include AEW with this sort of thing as well. But for now, there's no stakes on this, Rob. This is just a fun little predictor between you and me. Nothing to worry about as far as our points go. Or maybe we should just give ourselves points because it helped me and you to catch up with Lucas and Dan there, won't it? Yeah. But let's say who we're gonna go with on this one. Now, I mentioned they're the only person without a title for me is Powerhouse Hobbs. Well, for all of us is Powerhouse Hobbs, but for me, he's the person who should be walking out of that match with a title. I think he's been steadily improving, steadily getting into prominent positions in AEW the past few years. A little bit in the background, of course, when he first started out, you know, the henchman, the muscle and stuff like that. Now he's coming into his own. I saw a lot of the promo packages they were kind of working with recently, kind of talking about his life, you know, and you don't know what it's like, me living out here, blah, 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 doing all that kind of typical stuff. I've had a hard life. You guys don't know the half of it, sort of thing. That's the kind of thing they're going with Powerhouse Hobbs here. I mean, just being a muscle guy is usually what they go with. Someone looking like that is what I thought it would do, but they're giving him this little kind of extra bit of dimension to his character. So that's interesting to see. But for me, this match has got to be about making a new star. So as much as I'm excited to see Samoa Joe in AEW and see, you know, the three of these guys kind of shape up like this, and also as much as I do enjoy things with Wardlow, I think he's kind of stagnated, which is really sad. Of course, that happened around some of the other controversy in AEW, which was MJF. My goodness, they've had a lot of controversy lately. And as much as I did enjoy Wardlow in that run up to that match, since then, so for me, it's all about Powerhouse Hobbs. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm the same, to be honest, man. Like I like Wardlow. I love Samoa Joe. I mean, we spoke, I think, at great lengths at some point about Joe should have been the one to take the championship off Brock in WWE. You know, when it had that build and Joe looked like an absolute monster. And I'm not saying he doesn't now. But as you said, someone's got to leave with a title, and as nice as it would be to see Joe carry two titles,
double champ,
that'd be funny because I mean that'd be two people called Joe that have come to with Samoan being.
Hey, good point actually. Yeah,
but I do want Hobbs to win it, man.
Yeah, and even what you're saying there, as much as I love Samoa Joe and seeing him with two titles would be great. Realistically, for the man to walk out of there with a title, even though he's already got one, and being a veteran, while two youngsters could have been put over, one or either one of them even, it would look a bit odd. I think Joe could get away with it because the rest of, you know, the indie fans and the smart fans and all that, you know, we love him. The IWC, as they call it. But that would be maybe a bit contradictory, you know what I mean? So maybe that wouldn't be right. As much as I love Samoa Joe, I think giving it to Hobbs is the right thing here. I've got to say quickly though, I do like this kind of putting the ROH titles on veterans, you know, like to kind of really establish them as well. I know you could argue there's a lot of titles in the company and ROH just kind of makes it even more convoluted, but at the same time, you got to do something with ROH. So it's going to be a bit of a, you know, touch and go thing here and there. But
was it at the point when WCCW they had their championship, and then was it with NWA or was it WWF that had NWA? So they had one title, then they had the NWA championship as well. It kind of feels like there's a second brand, and you're the champion for that brand, but you're on this show. You're on this show, but representing our company.
Yeah, I think the most recent example would be NXT. You know, when an NXT guy has gone up to WWE still with its on the main roster with a title. I guess that's the closest. A prime example. Yeah, but maybe what they need to do is differentiate it a little bit more and have its own. Again, I know they had that pay-per-view a few months back as well, so that's good. But I understand why they're using it on I was going to say the main roster. There we go, because that's what it kind of feels like now. So, but yeah, it looks like we're both going for Powerhouse Hobbs. Again, anyone watching along live, we'd appreciate if you drop your comments, let us know what you think will happen, but also what you think should happen. Because, you know, do you agree with us that it should be Powerhouse Hobbs leaving with the TNT title? Right, let's move on to another title match. We've got the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory. Now, as much as earlier on, Rob, I've been saying, you know what, I ain't really been keeping up with AEW. It ain't been kind of dragging me back too much. The few things that have made me go, what are they doing over there, have been to do with Scissor Me, Daddy. And the Acclaimed. Should we do a little? Let's try, Rob. Let's do it. Come on.
I'll do it that way.
The Acclaimed. Hey, the buzz around them is real. It's exciting, and I saw again that they had won the titles at the Grand Slam Dynamite. Very happy for them. I know people were saying it should have happened earlier on as well, but the fact is they've got them now. I am a little bit fearful though that Swerve and Our Glory are going to get them back quite quickly, and that would be something that tonight would make me go, I'm still not sure about this stuff over here. I'm still not sure they're making the right decision. So I really hope that's not the case. As much as I like Swerve and Our Glory, I think they new lease of life for both of them as well, coming over to AEW. And I like how they're playing on each other's characters, being, different to each other lately as well. Surely it's going to lead to them splitting up rather than becoming tag champs again. That's what I would hope to see anyway.
Yeah, the Acclaimed, I don't mind them. The scissoring fit. To be honest, it's one of the things that I think if this was the Attitude Era,
yeah,
I'd be like, it's funny.
No, it is funny, Rob. Don't deny yourself.
Like, it's funny to a point, but when you hear it so much, it's like the thing with Daniel Bryan at that point, the yes or the no chant.
Yeah.
Or the what chant or the woos. You think, okay, after a while, he's like, all right, we get it now. I don't need to see it, hear it all the time. I know you've got it over, but I get a bit bored. I'm up and down with it. However, I do think that the Acclaim need to win. Swerve and Our Glory. I think this could be a perfect time to turn Keith Lee heel.
Right. I think I cut out there, and I thought it was you that was getting cut out, Rob. And I said, good. That's what you get for dissing the scissoring. And then it turns out I was the one being cut out. My signal was the one messing up, not yours. But anyway, I got the tail end of that and the gist. But you think it's overdone, right? But I don't agree, man. I think if something works, you go with it.
I don't say overdone. I appreciate it, and it's getting over. So if it's getting over, hey, carry on.
You got to run with it.
It's and I love the handshake when they do it like this, and it's great. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah.
But after a while, when all you're seeing is it on Twitter and it's on your timeline, and I'm thinking, come on, I get the joke, but move on from it. We've got that bit. Do something extra. I mean, the New Day, they started with Bootios, then moved to Pancake.
Oh, okay. So you feel like they need to add to it.
Add something to it.
It's closest to the crotch chop.
I think they think it. Yeah.
Like it. So and DX never exactly shook that up, did they? They stayed on it. So I guess they did other things, but yeah, interesting that Bill and Gunn's are both those things as well. But yeah, and also I heard you say that you think this could be a heel turn opportunity for Keith Lee.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Keith Lee, or Bearcat, as WWE wanted to call him. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Well, that's funny,
I love Keith Lee. I casually rep a Keith Lee t-shirt that I've got from.
Okay.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it. Fantastic in NXT, not so good in WWE in Raw and SmackDown, which is a shame. But I just want to see something different from him. He's a big guy, and I think sometimes just because you're a big guy and you can flip doesn't mean you have to. Be a monster.
My only concern with turning Keith Lee heel and splitting these up is that he does go back into being lost in the shuffle, because now at least them being a team means they're not kind of lost in the singles side of things. Yes, they'll have each other to focus on, but eventually after that, they're both going to have to go on to do different things. So, all right, what level do you do that? Does one go after the TNT? Does one go after the world title? Does one go after the ROH title? Do you know what I mean? Does one go in a blood feud with someone? But both of them are now going to be kind of on the main roster, waiting for something to do on the singles roster. So that's my only concern with splitting them up. But yeah, I think
both of them. So if they won the titles back and then became like full heel,
aren't they already kind of heel anyway?
It's not, it's Keith Lee though, isn't it? I think that's the only issue. Is certain wrestlers is like Apollo Crews. It's just too smiley. Like certain wrestlers, they're just too nice to be a heel. You know, but I think Keith Lee, I mean, he's a fantastic wrestler. And I mean, I don't know the guy, but he looks great when he's done interviews. He's so calm. He's welcoming. He looks like a lovely person. But you're so big. Don't be a teddy bear. Be a monster. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then that would be him, I guess. Yeah, trying to be a heel. So yeah, interesting one. I think the Acclaimed should win, and I think they will win. So what are you going with there?
Just to be different, I'll go with Keith Lee. Swerve.
Can't believe it. I'm gonna win you over with the scissoring, just like we did with Riddle as well. So just keep that in mind. That's the new goal on this channel. Rob wasn't a fan of Matt Riddle, and now, my goodness, he's all over
I've been
him.
told I'm not allowed to buy a Matt Riddle baby girl, by the way. I found one, and it's got little stallion, and I was told no.
Mate, how things have turned around. All right, let's move on to the next match. We've got Toni Storm, the AEW interim Women's World Champion. And I gotta say, I hate that. I hate the interim stuff versus Jamie Hayter. And I get it, kind of legitimizes things, makes me feel a bit like boxing and stuff like that. But for me, it's just annoying. And I always feel like these aren't real title reigns. And I feel like when someone, you've got that asterisk on it, and when someone then becomes interim champion, you think the inevitable thing is, well, they're going to face the old champion. One of them's going to win it.
Yeah.
But this time, they're facing someone else. And if Jamie Hayter wins it, then it's like...
she the interim?
Yeah, she becomes the interim. But then, like, if she loses to Thunder Rosa or beats Thunder Rosa, it is Thunder Rosa, isn't it? Yeah, because Thunder Rosa, injured. Yeah. And then if that happens... I mean, how unlucky. Like, it happened with Punk and Thunder Rosa pretty much at the same time. If that happens... then Toni Storm's not part of the Thunder Rosa match. It will be like a reign actually didn't exist. So like, I don't know, man. It's a really strange one, like interim titles and stuff like that. But
like
I'm not. It's go on.
When you're an interim champion, I mean it with all respect, but it sounds very disrespectful. But you're literally keeping that championship warm for the other champion.
Yeah, and you can't really. I don't know. Can you really enjoy it? It's like, I mean, when it's a predetermined entertainment-based sporting event, then surely you can just decide what you want to do and go, well, this person's not the champ anymore. Like, this ain't like legit where you have to seriously find out who the real champ is and all that. I know the lineal champion thing is kind of exciting and all that, like, especially in boxing, but it is convoluted. So if you can get around it, like, because you can book it that way, then just do it. But again, at the same time, a champion versus champion to find out who's the real champion, I get the buzz in that. But like, when you don't know how long it's going to be, like, can you just not do the whole 30 days you stripped? This is a new champion, like, or you won't be back in 30 days, so you stripped already. This is the new title. You know what I mean? And just give them the title. But hey, that's a whole different situation. Let's talk about the actual match itself. We've got Toni Storm, as we said, against Jamie Hayter. And they've done a good job of building this lately as well. Jamie Hayter kind of stepping out of the shadow of Britt Baker, it seems. Could we see something going on there? Toni Storm, I don't think this has been the kind of first few months of her AEW career that people hope for. When she left WWE on such a kind of high, in the sense that she was on the main roster and people loved her, it seemed like going to AEW was going to be just lightning in the bottle. It was like, boom, this is going to be amazing. And like, hey, she's the world champion, interim world champion. So you could say, well, what more could she do? But I just don't think it struck on the same chord that people expected it to. And as much as, we've always said their women's division needs a bit of help. And now it's getting pumped with a lot of talent that I am thinking, you know what? And certain people are rising up the ranks as well, like Jamie Hayter. Some things just ain't connecting. And I don't know if that means Toni needs to keep it longer to cement what she's doing, or if it means it's time for a refresh and give it to Jamie Hayter. But then it feels like in a division and a company where it's hard to establish new stars, because a lot of these people have come into the national and international scene as unknowns. Do you really still want to be giving these people, like, because by now, basically, like the Adam Page thing got built up for so long, right? So it made sense when he got it. The MJF thing, if he wins it tonight as well, I could see that. It's not like Jamie Hayter's been built up since the beginning of the company. It's only the past few months. So although you could argue the same with them, they were kind of just people on the indies and stuff like that. And how comes they're called getting a world title at this stage? But that it kind of led in quite a bit further for them, you know? So for Jamie Hayter, as much as I would like it, I just worry that it would mean that people from the outside of the company and casual fans would be like, who? You know, and it would put people off going, oh, that's your world champ. I feel like it's
I know what you mean.
It's stronger to keep it on Tony Storm. Even though Jamie Hayter's been doing great work, I think it was hard enough getting Britt Baker to be seen as a kind of serious thing, you know, kind of a representation outside of the company for those that didn't really care about the company. But I think you can't deny the work she put in, how good that reign was. So yeah, to do, I don't know. It kind of feels like it needs to be an ex-WWE star at the moment because the division's just not strong enough.
Yeah, but it's weird, isn't it? Because we say that, but then we've got Britt Baker, Soraya's now there, Tony Storm, Jamie Hayter, Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose. Like, there's enough people there to really carry that championship. I think the thing that I think it's because there's a second championship in the women's division at the moment. I think
I'm still way more into Jade Cargill than any of the roster.
The way I've looked at it is that is the main championship.
It's weird,
it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, like I care more about that match just because I want Jade Cargill to be champion at the end of the night than I do this one. Just because I want her to be champion. You know, I don't care that it's the secondary title. It's her reign is more important than what's going on in this other match. But that sounds like I've been kind of, you know what I mean, disrespectful to the other two. But I like what both of them are doing. I like both of them, and it's a real honor, I'm sure, to fight for the title. But there's no doubt that the most important thing, in my opinion, in the women's division is Jade Cargill at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We'll get into that match next, actually, because I think that's a good segue. But before we do, who are you saying is winning this one? Tony Storm or Jamie Hayter? I guess, you know, as Brits as well, Jamie Hayter is well, maybe we should be going for.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think, so, as I said this before in other pods that we've done. Some people are good at chasing, some people are good at being a champion. I think Tony Storm is good at being a champion in the position that she's in. More or less heel. She's heel, right?
I don't know, man. Because the Jamie Hayter thing's all tied up with Britt, who's still a heel.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a hard booking, isn't it? If you got two heels, kind of the way it's positioned. But I like Jamie Hayter. I can't see it right now. It's the same as, imagine if it was a Jamie Hayter and it was Sky Blue, who I'm a big fan of. I think she's fantastic in the ring. But at this moment in time, you just think she's just not the person to take the championship. Do you know what I mean? Thunder Rosa was the prime person to now is your time.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's gone to Tony Storm. And that's not a bad thing because she's ready to hold the title. But if you're going to do the Thunder Rosa Tony Storm thing, just keep it on for Tony Storm until his time. You know, otherwise you just hot potato in an interim championship. And as you said, that asterisk means nothing. It just means that you're keeping it warm. And I'd rather it not be like that. So, in my opinion, get rid of the interim thing. But because we've got it and he's going on ahead anyway, I think keep it with Tony Storm, but put on a great match with Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be one of the kind of matches that people are talking about after it, just because the quality of it. You know, again, both of these people interesting, and I do think there's storyline wise, there's a lot they could do with it as well. You know, whether or not you know, it becomes like almost like a Randy Orton Triple H Evolution thing. You know, whether or not it's something like that will be quite interesting to see. But yeah, again, looking forward to seeing the match. I think it's going to be pretty exciting. let's move on to the one we were talking about already, though. We got Jade Cargill and Nyla Rose. Now, this one here is going to be, of course, for the TBS Championship. We've just been talking about there that we think just because of the presentation, just because of the way Jade Cargill is kind of put across and her kind of reign so far, that this is the main event when it comes to the women's roster at the moment. Of course, a big part of that as well, the women's scene, of course, is Saraya, of course, is Britt Baker. And you could argue, just like we say in WWE all the time, Rob, you know, like there sometimes needs to be a match that isn't necessarily for a title, but it's just a blood feud. That's what we get in AEW with Saraya and with Britt Baker. But at the same time, as we said, this feels like when you're talking titles, at least, this one feels a little bit more prestigious just because of the reign that Jade Cargill's had. And yeah, because of that, I feel real jeopardy with this one because I want her to keep the title. I think she's become such an incredible talent. I think there's so much about her. I think it's been the case for the last year or so. And what a great reign. I don't know what happens next. I mean, you could argue that her losing it is a positive because she could be then elevated to the world title picture. But I don't know if that's the right way to go about it either. But I do like the way they've done this storyline. You know, the title's been stolen. Nyla's kind of connection with Vicky cackling all the time and stuff like that. You know, it's great to see Vicky Guerrero in a prominent role still in wrestling as well. But yeah, I like the kind of that the stakes are there. But I just really hope it doesn't go in the direction of Nyla Rose defeating Jade Cargill. Because again, I want this reign to continue. It doesn't feel like the time to end it for me. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, exactly what you said. Jade Cargill needs to retain. I'm not saying I'm against Nyla Rose winning. I guess it'll be a different take on it because obviously she's been the AEW Women's Champion already. But man, Jade Cargill in this run at the moment is great, and I just think if you've got something that's really working, don't touch it until it's time to change it. Or until it stops working. I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's like who would beat her as well because she's turned more of a babyface now. So you'd think it would have been better if she was a heel, you know, for someone to get that big win, someone to get that kind of exciting pop. And you think someone like Ruby could have been good at that, you know, that would have kind of given her a bit more purpose again as well. But now that Jade is kind of just won everyone over, it's tough. You know, you kind of think the only way they can go about it is a heel just beating her down and her getting the sympathy and then moving on with that.
Unless you've done something in whoever wins between Saraya and Britt. Let's say, for example, imagine if Saraya won and then it came to the next AEW show and then she turned and literally come out and just battered Jade.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to want to make her heel, you know, like...
It depends on the reaction that they get. But
yeah, because...
it's not been the best, is it?
Yeah, that's what I mean, because where it's mixed, maybe it's a better thing to do. It will all depend on tonight. You're right.
That's what I think. But I think whatever happens will determine on... If Jade Cargill wins, whatever happens next will determine on reactions from crowd. 100%.
Right, yeah, and because even Britt Baker versus Jade Cargill, you know what I mean? That's like something that would be good to see them do. Britt, you know, kind of, you know, I said like, beating Jade if she's a heel and a babyface does it, it's great for them. But also at the same time, what kind of heat is that to beat Jade and ruin her reign? Do you know what I mean? Especially if they do it in a proper heelish way, cheating or something like that.
Yeah.
So really, we could go in that direction, and yeah, maybe Britt could be the one to do that because she is one of the best heels in the company. Yeah, exciting either way, but basically, I hope it doesn't happen tonight because I do think it's still got legs in it. This
I'm just checking now though, but so she's the only champion so far, right?
She's the what? Oh yeah. She was the first champion, yeah.
So she's on at the moment 318 days. So,
right.
But she won it on January 5th. So if she wins tonight, there's not going to be another AEW show up in December. So she'll at least make a year. So even for that booking, let her make the year.
Yeah.
And then if she drops
when you're this close.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yes, I will be really annoyed but they've done so well. Like they've done so well to book it in the first place. So I do have faith that they're going to be good with her here. Now, of course, the 0 hour pre-show has just started. So if you're watching that and with us, we'd appreciate that we do have your attention here as well still. And yeah, we're going to continue to kind of predict the show. But also now it's going to become a bit of a watch along for what we're seeing on the pre-show that AEW are putting together as well. One thing, as much as we kind of started bashing them for some of the recent stuff they've done, and also just the length of the pay-per-views and having too many matches, I do also appreciate that they really put effort into their pre-shows. So I will give them that. Right. Looks like we've got. Is Rob froze? Or was that me again?
I'm back.
All right. I thought I froze again. All right, here we go. But you say you're back. I can't see you back. I heard you back. There we go. We're good. All right, let's move on to another interesting match. As I said earlier, man, I can't believe we're saying this in 2022, but we've got Sting and Darby Allin versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. That's JARRETT. Now, how are you feeling about this match?
I don't like it.
Okay, so I think that's going to lead me on to my next question anyway, because this kind of ties in, I feel. How are you feeling about Jeff Jarrett being in AEW?
It's a cause for concern.
Really? Wow. So
Listen.
I don't mind. I think it's great for him, number one.
Mm-hmm.
The year he's had to be involved in the Ric Flair thing, to be involved in WWE stuff for SummerSlam, and then be involved in AEW. My goodness, the guy's getting around and doing well at doing it. Like, I like that. I like that this continues the Jay Lethal thing. I like that there's story there with them two. There's a history. I like the story between Sting and Jeff Jarrett. I like the TNA side of that, the WCW side of it. The Sting and Darby Allin thing's still good. So I got to say, I like it. I probably got the same concerns that I think you're going to kind of lay out, but I don't think it's been that bad. I think there are risks with it, but I think it's okay at the moment. But yeah, what are your concerns?
So Jarrett was in WWF. He's gone to WCW. Back to WWF. He's gone to TNA. He's gone back to WWF, and now he's at AEW.
Yeah.
And if you notice, 3 out of those 4 companies, 2 out of the 4 companies, not doing too good. I mean, WCW's gone. Impact is floating above the surface.
Yeah.
Just don't let him turn up, get his money, do his thing, and leave. Don't let him be involved in anything.
No, I think that's unfair to a degree. I think he's got. Look, TNA was good because of Jeff Jarrett as well. Like, as much as it got problematic at times with him, it got bad. And Global Force Wrestling weren't great, but
forgot about that.
But he's done some good as well, and I think, especially in TNA,
I think that was his best run, in my opinion.
Yeah, as a performer as well. But I think he is a great mind for the business. I think he's an interesting character. He's not everyone's cup of tea as far as a performer, but I do think he has a lot to give. And I think it shouldn't be a matter of just showing up. That's what I'm more concerned of, is him just getting a paycheck and being on TV and in matches. I don't think he should be in that many matches. I think use him where you can to elevate young stars, and also using where you can to elevate young stars behind the scenes as well. I think that's what he needs to be doing there. But yeah, not giving him the book or the pen, if so to speak. Like, nothing like that. And I think the worry is with AEW that you don't know who the heck's in charge of certain things, it seems like. So, but that's just as an outsider speculating, really, like things you hear. But I don't actually know, of course. But, I don't think Jeff Jarrett muddying those waters is going to help that whatsoever. So I understand what your concern is. But, hey, let's hope they give him a good role that I think where he can help talent. But,
my criticism, it's not Jarrett. In Jarrett, I think you have to kind of break him up into Jarrett the performer and Jeff Jarrett the booker, right? And am I still here? Am I good? You're right. I think you're right. I think Scott's frozen. So I'll carry on talking until he comes back.
Yeah, we
You
go.
back?
Yeah, I'm back.
There we go. All right. Did you hear me?
No, I hope
okay.
I hope the viewers did.
No. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I'll give my because I started speaking and I thought you disappeared. I was like, I'm not sure what's going on. I thought it was me.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you kind of have to break Jeff into two. I guess two roles of one as a performer and another one as a booker, car owner, however you want to put it. As a performer, the knowledge he's got is, soak it up like a sponge because that's knowledge that's wrestling knowledge that you can't get. That's experience, that's territory kind of knowledge. Being in so many different brands and companies, that's huge. At the same time, sometimes wrestlers have ego, and I think I'm Jeff Jarrett, so because of that, they do certain things. Same as with WCW, Hogan and Nash and stuff. So I'm just concerned of the way it's gonna go, and I don't want it to go that way. Be a booker for all means, help her backstage. You've had how many years worth of experience with WWE, with TNA or Impact, whatever you want to call it, GFW, and TV tapings and all these sorts. You've got so much experience from behind the scenes. You can add to it, and I just think sometimes that's what you need. You don't need just because like when we had Tully come back, great. You didn't need to be ringside though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's like I know you still want to be in the business. You can't let the business go, but do something at the back. I mean, Pat Patterson, how long was he at WWE for? But he didn't come out to the ring every couple of weeks. Like,
Well, I guess in that McMahon era he did a bit.
Do you know what I mean? Like he just sat at the back. Like, some guys, if you're still a part of the business and you're going to be booking things and you're going to be producing matches and being involved and stuff like that, great. But you don't need to see everyone at ringside. And I think that's what winds me up. And honestly, when I look at if you put that picture up, I literally look at three people from TNA and Darby Allin, and like, do you know what I mean? And Sting had a fantastic run in WCW, but I look at it and I was like, well, that's three ex-members of TNA and Darby Allin, and I don't want to be looking at it like that. I want to be looking at it as like, that's Darby Allin going against these three guys in the business. God, the amount of knowledge they've got, that he must be loving it. And I'm looking at it as like, Jeff Jarrett. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah, I get your concerns about Jeff's kind of what's he there for? Like it is tough.
Yeah.
At the moment, of course, on screen, we've got one of our pre-show matches. Of course, the one with the best friends. Isn't Danhausen supposed to be in this match?
Yes.
They hinted at it, and then I think they straight up said it was. They said it on the graphic. Here you go, very evil, very mysterious partner. Of course, you can even see his outline there. But for some reason, he's not actually out there. And I'm sure they even announced it, even though they were still using that graphic. But
that's another thing. Why is Orange Cassidy not? He's got a title. Why is that not on the line?
Yeah.
Like, if people were moaning, like I see it on Twitter, people wanted, he's going to make the title a mockery. But there's one to make it a mockery and one to not let him defend it.
Not even use it.
Like,
I mean,
let him use it.
That's the thing. If he's not like, if you're only going to have a few pay-per-views a year, then all your titles need to be online. Like, it's annoying when how many pay-per-views of WWE had?
We were saying the same thing about Gunther.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just gonna say. The IC title, you're like, why are they not using it? But it's like it'd be worse if they had 4 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, the match itself going on at the moment. We got the factory in control at the moment. Let's move on to. Well, no, actually, we didn't even say what we think is going to happen in that match. We just went all full on Jeff Jarrett concerns. But what do you think about the actual match itself? Do you think we could get potential turns? I know that's what the heels are trying to suggest, that Sting's going to turn on Darby Allin.
It'd be interesting to see Darby turn on Sting. I think if you're gonna do anything, that
Yeah,
would be.
I could see Sting liking the idea of joining Jeff and Jay as some sort of like TNA Legends faction because of how he was with the Main Event Mafia. And I think he really
Yeah.
enjoyed the Main Event Mafia run. So I can see Sting as a chance to kind of reinvent himself again. Because the Derby thing's ran its course now. Let's be honest. Like, we don't need to keep doing it now. It's okay if we move on, sort of thing. But then what does Sting do other than kind of take someone else under his wing? Do you know what I mean? So maybe you do need to kind of freshen up his character again. Depends how much time he's got
The thing
left
is,
kind of in AEW as well.
I guess it's one of those things. Again, I don't want to be comparing, but I'll just say generic, the ones that we would know. But the likes of Taker, Cena, Brock Lesnar from WWE are kind of in this position. Jericho is a prime example of he could go on. He's in a legacy situation now in his career where you could do something, and he's like, well, this is him seeing out his career. You know, Ring of Honor Championship. You never would I have thought Jericho would be carrying that title. You know, Sting is another one. Like, he's had enough time. He's done some higher jumps even in his 50s. You know, his run when WWE wasn't the best. It was cut short, obviously, because I think with Seth.
Yeah. Crazy that's all kind of in the past now, and he's just having another run. It's mad, isn't it?
I know. Like, what, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Which is, even that blows my mind how long that was. We were saying this on the watch along we done. But I don't know. It's Sting one of those. Like, what can he do after wrestling? Like, Booker, is that something that you pass knowledge on? Should they have like not a performance center, but should they have something like that to? Do you know what I mean? There's so many guys that are in this position where you'll either do something in the wrestling. I think someone that's really in a great position is Regal, because he doesn't need to wrestle, and he's a fantastic manager. You know, I'll get on to Regal later. I'll have something, an idea of something.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't. As you said, if something doesn't happen with Sting and they win, what's next? Like, you need to do something, because they are getting a bit boring now.
Like
Darby and Sting are great, but what's next?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at some point it's got to end, doesn't it? So, or someone's got to move on to something. They're not going to become, unless they do. Maybe they go for a tag title run. I don't know. Like, maybe that is where we go with it. But even now, where do we go with Jeff Jarrett? Is Jeff's going to stick around in the storyline? Is he going to wrestle more? Like, that's the thing as well. It's just, well, it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I think the match has potential, though. I do feel like I think Jeff's gonna kind of want to prove himself. I think, we can say, oh, these old guys, are they coming up and taking up spots and stuff like that? But I think Jeff still performs quite well, to be fair. And I think in a match like this, Sting always does something wild in these matches as well. So I'm excited to see what that is. Darby Allin, great he is. Jay Lethal's a fantastic wrestler as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the match itself, I've got to say. So because I think it will be an interest. I think it'll be a fun one. Do you know what I mean? I think it won't go too long, and it'll be a fun match. It's just where it goes storyline wise after it, and kind of career wise for the two older guys in the match is an interesting one as well. Right. So nothing major going on the I was gonna say,
I think Scott's gone again. Yeah, I think it was that. There's not much going on the kickoff show, or the pre-show, whatever was going to call it, which is zero. I believe it's 0 hour. But yeah, I'm not sure. If he's gone. They were having a few technical issues today. But what we'll do is we'll crack on with talking. Are you back? You back?
I think so.
Oh, I was literally about to message you and see if you were where you were. I don't know if it was me or you that went, so I just carried on talking.
I think it's me. I think my internet's going mad tonight.
Countdown connection.
Yeah, something like that. But I was saying nothing big's happening on the kickoff show, 0 hour, and then I saw Orange Cassidy hit this wicked tornado DDT just as our signal went. But yeah,
I don't mind Orange Cassidy. As I said, look, it's funny booking. It's again, as I was saying, it's been booked over title, and the title's just not being defended. And I don't want them people to go, well, he's made the title look horrible and useless, and it worked. Book him. Just put it in a title match. You know, I don't think it matters. So, something like that, you could have a championship scramble with Orange Cassidy and make it look pretty good, or something like that. You know, or a winner in, win out, kind of like title or something like that. And obviously he wins at the end. Not like they did with the 24/7 championship, but something similar to that, but in a match. It has to be a match form. And I'd like that. I wouldn't say that's anything bad, but I just want him to do something with the title. He's got it. Let him show it and display that he can keep it.
Right. So I missed so much of that because I think it was terrible. As you're talking there, I was about Orange Cassidy. I've just seen Danhausen's just showing up though. So
I love Danhausen.
let's see what he's about to do. Orange Cassidy's laid down in the ring. Apologies, guys, for my internet messing up here. Must be something going on with my provider or something like that. But lovely German suplex by Danhausen.
Are you a fan of Danhausen? Do you like him?
Yeah, I like him. I think he's got his place. Do you know what I mean? Same as the Orange Cassidy thing. I think all this stuff has got its place in wrestling, and I'm fine with it. Like, Danhausen's never going to be this version of him, at least. Oof, lovely German. Never going to be AEW World Champion. But then again, look at Orange Cassidy with his gimmick, and as you say, he's a champion as well. So,
yeah.
What about you?
I think he's the sort of person he could hold a title. I can't see it being a main title.
Yeah.
That's no disrespect to him. I just think it's the gimmick that he's in. But I like him. I'm not against him. He makes me laugh. Him and the stuff with him and Hook was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of, you know, when Goldust was going through just really weird things with Booker T.
Yeah.
And like Danhausen has that about him. It's so funny. Or like the Hurricane, when him and the Rock.
Yeah.
He just had their moments.
That lovely comic relief. Even I know Santina Morella's another one as well. Like So Danhausen just picked up the victory as we're talking about him there as well. So that's pretty cool. Nice little way to start the show for the live fans as well. Gets people really into it. It'd be interesting to see what the opener on the actual main card is. Yeah, although it's going to be a long one for the fans in attendance, at least they've started off with something that's going to kind of keep them perked up and excited for a little bit at least. Let's hope the rest of the card can do the same, and hopefully the pacing is just good enough. So the best friends are coming in for the hug. There we go. Right. So we got two more matches on the pre-show as well. Of course, we haven't really got time to predict them. So we're going to, as we talk about them, go on and talk about the ones on the main card. Of course, we've got Jungle Boy Jack Perry, which that was something that JR loved to call him. Seems to have kind of really caught on now. And it's not just Jungle Boy anymore. It is Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus his old buddy in Luchasaurus. And as you can see, Christian Cage in the background there as well. This is a steel cage match between two former friends. Two rivals here now as well. Quite sad to see because I loved Jurassic Express. I loved the song. I loved the dance. It made me feel good. Like when a pay-per-view AEW would open up to them coming out and their music, it used to always get me amped up. It was a nice way to start the show. So gutted that's not a thing anymore. But at the same time, I do see. Go on.
I'm incredibly gutted that it's not happening because we haven't got it anymore. Because do you know AEW coming to the UK? Oh my goodness!
Oh, we could have sang along.
Like, imagine what we done with the Fandango song.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine what could have been of the Jurassic Express.
What could have been?
The UK Jurassic Express.
Oh, mate. Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good. But at the same time, seeing this kind of evil version of Luchasaurus is quite cool to see as well. I think it never, team split up. Do you know what I mean? And Jungle Boy has been, super over the past few years, really. Anyway, so it's pretty good. I liked the Jungle Boy Christian stuff as well that we were seeing. What I was really confused about though, and this is what again another thing that just didn't help my kind of viewing of AEW and how I saw it really is that they they had Christian get Luchasaurus to turn on Jungle Boy, but then I watched it again like 2 weeks later, and he'd gone back to Jungle Boy, and now I look at it again, and he's gone back this way again.
I didn't like it, man. It was, I don't know. It was like it felt like they were toying with the fans to.
Yeah, I feel like they missed a real opportunity there. You know, like
in my opinion, they should have either turned both of them heel or neither of them heel, because Jurassic Express is fantastic. I mean, I think who was I always forget his name. The smaller guy.
Marco Stunt.
Marco Stunt. Yeah, I knew it was again with him. Don't get me wrong. He's a small guy. He's not going to be he's not going to be AEW champion ever. You know.
Yeah.
But he was great with the Jurassic Express.
Yeah, they just dropped him, didn't they? I mean, I don't know if that was a behind the scenes thing or what, but they just dropped him, and then they carried on as a team. Weirdly, didn't mention him anymore. But then, like I'm all right with Luchasaurus turning heel. When he first did it, I saw so many comparisons online to, we've got a new Kane, you know, like an exciting kind of like new exciting evil character like that, and I do like that, but it's a shame that they kind of flip-flopped around it first as well. Now, of course, we've got Ricky Starks coming out now to face Brian Cage. Now, this is a tournament semifinals, right? So let's bring out the graphic here as well. As you can see, World Title Eliminator tournament semifinals. So I'm guessing they're going to go on to face the champ. Does the finalist face the champ, or does the winner of the final face the champ? I don't know what's going on, but either way, love a good tournament. Don't understand what this one's about. If anyone could tell us in the comments, we'd appreciate it. The match has started big though. Ricky Starks, who I do think we're talking about star potential, I think he's got a lot going for him at the moment, and this is really exciting. On the other side of that, Brian Cage, someone else I also think has a lot of star power, but it's just not been the AEW run it looked like it was going to be when he first come in as it. So an interesting one here. To see where they go with this one as well. Going back to the match we were talking about, though, Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus, I'm going to say surely it only really makes sense for Jungle Boy to win this, unless it's because Christian gets involved and Jungle Boy gets his win eventually over Christian. But if Christian's injured, that ain't happening anytime soon. So either spreading this out and he does get his win over Christian eventually, or he gets his win over Luchasaurus and this is the end of the feud till Christian comes back properly. But I'm not quite sure about that one.
Yeah, I just don't think it makes sense to book it. So if Jungle Boy wins, he gets the victory. Then he's waiting on Christian. I just think if you need to do something to keep the match going, then
Gunn needs to lose. Christian needs to
Christian has to be involved or something.
Exactly.
DQ or something like that.
Yeah. So I think that is more likely. It all depends on what is going on with Christian. I don't know how injured he is, when he's coming back.
How long is he until he's cleared? What is the injury?
No idea. He's in a sling, you know. So apologies again. We ain't been watching much lately. We're trying to get back into AEW. That's what this is all about for us. But
to miss several months due to an arm injury. That's what it says.
Okay, that's pretty much what we could tell from the sling anyway. So, all right then. So he ain't coming back anytime soon, it seems. But yeah, so if that's going on for a long time now because of the Christian thing, this is probably designed to extend.
Brian Cage was lovely.
Oh, I missed it.
Oh man. Yeah, as you were saying, Dove, obviously before we move on, as you watched the pre-show, Cage, how is he not in a position to be in the championship? Do you know what I mean? Like he looks so good. I just think he's another one. It's just booking.
Yeah, but he come in and won the. He was the mystery. He was the Joker, weren't he? And he won the chip.
I don't know. Yeah, and I feel like nothing come of it really. It's just weird, isn't it? I think they've got so much potential with talent. I think they've got so much. I just really don't know what to do with all of it. But when they put on a show, they're so good.
The shows are good, but you can only you can only keep people happy for so long because there's only so many spots insert. You know what I mean? Like we said it a while ago. I think when we were talking about the Attitude Era, you think of certain guys and you're like, man, like that was a great European kind of roster. That, you know, like European title division even and stuff like that. But then I'm sure those guys weren't happy with it either. I'm sure they wanted to be in the main event and stuff like that. You know, Eddie Guerrero, great example of that, ended up becoming that. But then I just felt like in the Attitude Era, everyone had their place. And I don't know, but maybe that was just rose-tinted glasses and what, you know, that I have now and the way I watched it as a youngster. But
I think AEW is just trying to find that. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to group each section or section each 6 guys. You're for this title and you go for this one and you're only setting it. But if you have a core people that go, okay, I'll challenge you for this, then you kind of see, all right, this is where their mid card section is, kind of thing. And then these are the guys that are upper mid card and they go for this. Or
because that's the problem. Because everyone in every division, I feel it could mostly be in another division.
Mm-hmm. Whereas WWE, they do break it up a bit. In a sense. But yeah, I don't know. I do want AEW to kind of, it's those little things that they just need. It's just adjusting. It's not fixing. It just needs adjusting.
Yeah. I don't know if I cut out there, so I don't know if you heard what I said, so I'll repeat it just in case. But I feel like the problem with the divisions is that most people you look at could be in 2 or 3 divisions at once. You know, like they could jump around, and that's why there's no definitive kind of thing of it. Like you look at someone like Miro, and sometimes you can say, "Oh, it's good that they gave him the TNT title because that elevates that title, and we know that he could be in the main event." But then it's like, yeah, he's not in the main event. So when he's in neither, it's like, what the hell? What's he doing? And then you look at, you know, Orange Cassidy. You know, he's in you know, a comedic spot, but then he's the All Atlantic champ. But recently, Pac was the All Atlantic champ, and now he's the trios champ. And Pac's been in the world title scene as well. So it's like they kind of hop around a bit too much, you know. Like I think it does need to be defined a little bit more, like you say. And sometimes it works as a great thing, like you say, when you look at like Jericho's the ROH champ, but then Jericho's the AEW champ, and the Cesaro's in the ROH scene, and then what's going to happen? Is Cesaro going to be in the tag division soon? Like, you know, it's a strange one there, yeah. Right, let's move on to the next match. So, do we both think Luchasaurus probably going to win then?
Yeah, story-wise, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense there. Right, let's move on to another exciting one, Rob. Just because we are simply getting a return of 3 guys that I think we're kind of hoping are going to go to the next level and help AEW get to that next level as well as themselves. And that is, of course, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega returning to action in AEW. And it's going to be really exciting to see him back. Of course, like I said earlier on, I reckon there's going to be a bit of a, you know, something to prove, I guess, you know, like we're back, here we are the top, this is our company, there's, you know, like don't forget about us sort of thing. But they're facing off against the Death Triangle, of course, who picked up those trios championships in a flipping awkward way. Again, we had the Punk thing with the interim thing. He come back, he had Punk getting stripped. We got the interim women's title as well. And it's just really added to this mess. Now, I think the easy thing to book is, well, the Elite win it back. Straight away, that was the plan. But I actually think they shouldn't do that. I think the Death Triangle should do it because it's out of order on them. If you are, it would be too obvious. Oh, you were the placeholder. I think it's wrong to do that. I think the Death Triangle should be it. The Elite need to wait their turn now. That's not me picking sides over what happened backstage or anything like that. That's me just saying, look, it's a fact. If you come back and you just come in and like them winning the first time anyway, you know, as a bit of a risk of looking like, you know, the Reign of Terror, Triple H and Jeff Jarrett type stuff. Like you being booked as the first champions of something when you are the bookers, essentially, in some way, you know, or at least, you know, executives and whatever else, it's not a good look. But you could also argue, well, they're probably the best trio in the world. So, hey, maybe they should be. There's that. But I think they need to kind of take a step back. This needs to be about their back. And they've been out of the ring for a while. They can't quite do it just yet and stuff like that. I don't know where to go next. I really don't. Oh, you're reacting a lot there. I've paused my stream just because it was messing things up. What am I missing?
Oh, it's just a beautiful spare there by Ricky. Just it was 2 3/4. I literally thought he snapped Cage in half with the way he done that. Oh, mate, so good. Yeah, no, I love doing these sort of reactions because we're watching it live, so everything that we see is like, oh, that's happened. We don't know what the end result is. Are you watching it? I think I've lost him again. Every time he plays the pre-show or the 0 hour, his stream goes. Oh my goodness! If you are watching it, then that was just another near fall. I guess we'll turn it into a watch along until Scott comes back. But that was fantastic. Oh, I've got two of you.
I know.
Oh, you're back.
Right,
you're back.
I got tempted, and I thought, well, I have to see what I'm missing, and then I think completely went. So I think I have to maybe watch the pre-show on my phone or something like that, and use like my data. So let me see if I can do that.
All right. Well, yeah, but I mean, this is a fantastic match so far. I never thought I'd be looking at Ricky thinking, oh, he could beat Cage, but they've booked this really well.
Okay. Happy to hear it.
Again, which is one of the things we were saying. It just because you're the big guy doesn't mean you have to do. Oh,
what's going on? What am I missing?
A Canadian Destroyer on Cage.
What?
Oh, Starks has just won. Oh wow.
Oh wait, okay, I can see
that. Oh, that was so good. So good.
Who's that? Ethan Page.
Where are you?
Yeah, I've turned it on. I must be ahead now. Ethan Page has come out. What's going on? What did I miss?
I think you're ahead of me.
I'm rewinding.
You may be ahead of me. Oh man, that was fantastic.
What was that move? Okay.
Yeah, he's there now. Page
wow! So he reversed that from his shoulders into Canadian Destroyer. Oh man, yeah, that was wicked.
So good.
That was
so good.
Wow.
I'm up for that. That is Ethan Page.
That was cool.
Stark. That was good.
See, it's things like that you go, wow, that's how good the pre-show is. You know what I mean? But then by the time you're like 6 matches into the main show, you're like, I'm burnt out, man.
I was gonna say we get matches like this, and then literally a couple of weeks ago when we done the pre-show, we was like, do you remember when Ryback faced Kalisto? Oh man.
Right, yeah. Speaking of Ryback, we recently covered our 2012 Survivor Series watch along. If you're a fan of watch alongs, join us for that as well. That was good fun. Let's get back to AEW stuff here, though. Of course, we've just been talking about the trios.
Death Triangle.
Yeah, I think the Death Triangle need to win this. They got to win. Pac has been dealt a bad hand for me so many times with AEW. I honestly think he needs to. He probably should have been world champion by now, but for me, they should keep the titles. It's they deserve it after kind of carrying the division that they didn't expect to be carrying. And not against the Elite. I think the Elite, they're some of my favorite wrestlers, but I just think I don't know where they're going to go as well. Like, are they going to be babyface? Are they going to be heel? Are they going to split up? It's kind of just put such a weird stop on what was going on for those characters already. So it'd be interesting to see where they go anyway. I'm just looking for, I think it's going to be a fantastic match, but I think it needs to stay on the Death Triangle, even if next time the Bucks eventually win it with Omega. I think, I guess they weren't going to go anywhere because they were going to be champs, weren't they? So we'd have at least had them together and on a run together for a bit. So, but for me, the Death Triangle should keep the titles. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree. I know what's going on with we'll see what happened with the Elite stuff and Punk and all this sort of stuff. But it does feel like if they come back and win I don't know. I just think it makes a mockery. I think not even a mockery. It's like, well, we can book ourselves however we want, so it doesn't matter how hard you work while we're off.
Yeah.
We want the titles back.
That's a good point. Yeah,
and
it won't go down well.
I like the Bucks. No, I like the Bucks. I'm not the biggest fan of Kenny Omega. However, I respect what he does, and I love these matches. Let's talk about Kenny that I just don't enjoy it. Some of his matches are great with the Bucks. Some of his single matches have been fantastic. Some of them I hit the hit and miss. It's a bit like Marmite with me. I love him and I hate him. I love him.
Interesting.
But I don't know. That Death Triangle, they're so good, man. I mean, you have Ray Phoenix and Pentagon, and you think, well, how can you make that better? So it will add Pac to that team. And they look so good. And they look like an absolute unit.
Yeah.
you know, and I think if you need another trio to kind of carry it, while I guess the elite, if you want to call it, or whatever they go as, want there, then these were the guys to take over. And
who comes up after that then? Who goes after if they keep it and the elite go off to do different things? Who goes after them? Do you know what I mean? Do we go Blackpool Combat Club or something like that?
Well, do you want to talk on the Blackpool Combat Club? Because I've got something to.
Well, we will. But let's before we do that, let's mention this match here: Britt Baker versus Saraya. Now, of course, it was just being shown on the 0 hour, so I thought this is a good time to talk about the promo package was just on there now. So let's talk about that. I'm surprised this isn't for a title, because it feels like it should be, you know. But then at the same time, as we said before, this, you know, we always want blood feuds, kind of, and kind of personal feuds and stuff like that in women's divisions, rather than it always being about the title. So WWE aren't giving that to us, so I'm glad AEW are. And does a return of someone who's been out for 5 years need a title? Probably not. I think the star power between these two feels like a title match, but that's a good thing. So I'm looking forward to this. I think I'm scared, as I always am when someone comes back for the first time, to see, you know, not only ring rust, but kind of that potential damage and limitations of you know, I was watching the promo videos and stuff like that, and seeing her get physical for the first time in years. It was kind of, you know, heart and mouth type thing, hoping she's going to be all right. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. She's been cleared by the doctors, so hopefully all things are all good there. And I'm just happy to see her back.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sorry.
Thought you were getting emotional there.
No, a little. Yeah, no, it's a little bit. Obviously, we from the UK, we have a lot of love for Paige. Saraya, whatever you want to call her as. Yeah, I mean, the fact that she's cleared, fantastic. She can wrestle again, do the thing that she fell in love with doing. I am happy to see it. It's like the final chapter of that story, you know, her being able to go back. It's a shame, in my opinion, that it didn't happen in WWE.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would have been the end to, like, I always say, like poetry, where you start great, the middle bit's the mess, then the finish is like, that's your happy ending. I feel like if she had a final match in WWE and then could say goodbye properly, or even said goodbye, then
like Daniel Bryan, innit? Daniel Bryan come back, had a run there.
Like it needed that. Obviously we didn't get that, which is a shame. But hey, she's able to perform, which I'm happy to see. Will it look like she hasn't skipped a beat? I don't know. I hope so. I do hope so.
Yeah, but I wonder if the pace has moved on much further than we realised.
I was about to say that, because obviously in the time that she's been away, wrestling again has changed its style. AEW's got a very different style, pace. Certain things do it in a certain way, and Britt Baker is all about, she's happy to have blood in her matches and get blooded up and things like that. So is that to happen? I have no idea. Would that be something new? That'd be something new for Saraya, at least. So I mean, I'd love to see 2 or 3 matches of this, but as much as I'm happy with her coming back, I don't want her to win it. I think she has to earn it, and I think that's what I'd love to see.
Yeah,
like,
I guess
you're not good enough. You have to be good enough.
Yeah, like she has missed a beat, and she's not. Yeah, she's like, it's going to take me a while. Kind of like how people saw the Punk return happening at first as well. Like that kind of happened a bit with him. I think that is probably a wise thing to do with her as well. And I think it is risky. Although it's a great story, she comes back and wins. It's risky for Britt, and I think it would do so much more for Britt winning than it will for Saraya. So I think it'd be better for Britt to win, and then we can go from there and kind of Saraya can regroup and stuff like that. And a moment is the return. You know, it's coming out in a gear again. It's being in the match, and you know, I mean, what better way for a heel to kind of get over even more by kind of ruining the storybook end? You know, yeah, exactly. Like it's. So I think it should be Britt, and will it be Britt though?
I hope. Do you know what?
I think Tony might be giddy to just do the happy story.
I don't know.
I
hope. As again, love to see Saraya win, but I would love to see Britt win, and it sounds weird, but I'd love to see her win with the amount of booze that she's going to get. Like for wrestlers to get that amount of heat just by beating someone.
She needs to do something
ruining
like really bad though, because again, it's been a bit mixed with Saraya's return. So, and people love Britt. She's a heel that people like, so they need to be careful with it as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pull it off.
I think if it goes the wrong way, this could cause a double turn.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
Yeah, it could do. Next up, I'm tempted to go into the main event because I know you want to talk about it, but let's hold off one more and we'll talk about Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, Claudio Castagnoli, Sammy Guevara. Of course, we've got 2 members of the Blackpool Combat Club and 2 members of the Jericho Appreciation Society. This is an interesting thing. Of course, they're really playing on the fact that if Jericho's added in Sammy, you're going to do the right thing, man. And Sammy's like, either way, I'm making sure someone from the JES is the champ. You know, like, you know what they're playing around with here. Is it too obvious to do that? So will they do that? And I don't think Sammy, I think they're, look, it's kind of like the Austin Theory thing. Like if Austin Theory had won the title, it was like, the risky thing to do, but if done right, it could be really catapulting someone to the top because people are ready to boo him. With Sammy being the ROH champion, yes, that could do the same thing for Sammy in some ways, but not as much as it would do if it was another title. I think the ROH thing, and like he'll play like we're already got that with Jericho. The kind of messing around. I don't respect the title. I'm changing its history. I want to beat all its champions. Sammy doing the same thing would be a bit weird. So I think. Like people would actually feel that way about the story. It wouldn't be a character thing anymore. People would actually feel like, oh, so it'd be like ECW. Yeah, that's what it feels like. We've got to be careful with this. You got to kind of put the strength behind the ROH brand again. You could argue that Jericho isn't that, but they're doing it really, really carefully. They're playing up to the story. They're doing it as a story. If they did it with Sammy, it would be real, and that's the risk there. So I think Sammy shouldn't win. I don't think Sammy will win. I think Jericho probably will keep it, and that might be a good thing until they figure out what they want to do with it. But I won't be opposed to Bryan Danielson winning it just for old time's sakes. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think when you have 2 people, ex-wrestlers from Ring of Honor, and you're in this match, and someone like Jericho's in it, that's not a disrespect on Jericho. Like he just wasn't a Ring of Honor. Like he was in wrestling. He was at the company when Ring of Honor really started getting its groove and its love, you know. So obviously he just missed out on that. But see him having it now, going against ex Ring of Honor champions, it's lovely. It's so nice to see because it makes Ring of Honor important again. And I think Sammy's one of those people. You'd be like, you got it, and you think, oh, such a slime ball. You don't need it. Like I think he would ruin the momentum that they're doing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. At another time, another title, or even this story, but elsewhere. But because we're already getting it with Jericho, it wouldn't make sense to be just copy and paste with Sammy. I know the temptation is there for the story that they're telling between the 4 guys in the match, but I don't know. Of course, on the 0 hour at the moment, we've got Eddie Kingston facing off against Akiyama. And another guy, before we jump back to this match, is Eddie Kingston. Of course, maybe, he got punished, you could say, from his issue with Sammy Guevara, ironically, we've just been talking about. But someone who 6 months ago to a year ago, if you said to me he's going to be AEW champion in a few months, I'd be like, yep, that makes sense. He's got a lot of momentum behind him. I'd be happy to see it. So it's interesting to see his kind of fall from prominence. But again, we say that, but then I enjoy their pre-shows, so there's that as well. Anyway, let's jump back to the ROH title match, mate. Who do you think will win then?
I think booking wise, like if it isn't Jericho that's winning, I think booking wise it would be lovely to see Bryan, Claudio, either or, not Sammy. However, I feel I want it to be Jericho because it leads into something else that I'm thinking of later.
Okay. I just always find these ones hard to pick because of how infrequent their pay-per-views are. That's the only thing. Kingston in control at the moment, by the way. And now let's move on to it, mate. Time to talk about the main event. It sounds like you've got a theory, and I've got a theory as to what your theory might be. So let's see where this goes. I'm going to let you go first. What do you think is going to happen in MJF versus John Moxley for the AEW World Title?
All right, so picture the scene. We're in a dying moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mox he's got the upper hand. MJF is struggling, blowing out of his backside for air. Mox is ground and pounding him. All of a sudden, Regal is the reason that MJF is victorious. Regal turns on Mox, and then MJF is victorious, and MJF takes on Regal as his new mentor. I think it's like the Triple H Ric Flair thing. It would look beautiful because what a way to win that title, and what a heel way to win that title.
Right.
And I think
so. I actually think they are going to do that, and I like it. I like this. I saw the promo of MJF and Regal, and it was fantastic. But what happens then to the Blackpool Combat Club? Do they disband?
Well,
do they change the name?
Well, Mox obviously has vengeance, right?
Yeah.
So obviously that would be the thing for MJF. And then this answers a question that you asked earlier. After the Death Triangle, all three guys are then available. So Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and Brian go for the trios.
But then do they change name because they don't want to be associated with? Oh no, but they could play it up, be like, no, it's Regal doesn't represent what we are. We're still going to be the fight in honor of the way our style and Blackpool, what it's known for, blah blah blah. That kind of myth they built up around it, So okay, I could see that. That's good. That's good. You kind of mentioned Jericho maybe has a hand in this as well, right? When we talked about Jericho, what was that about?
Oh, only because if Jericho wins, then it would make sense because that frees up Danielson.
Okay, yeah. So they haven't
Claudio.
got the RH title.
Otherwise, they haven't got the title among them.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Taking away that,
I could see that
actually. To carry a title makes sense.
I could see that. And then Regal and MJF. It's not what I expect, I think, but Regal, I'd be so excited to see him play a heel again. So that's one thing. It's a nice little swerve. I know they've played with the brass knucks and the ring stuff, so I think that'll probably be how they do it. And MJF needs to be the champ. I think he needs to win the title. The only issue is that we don't know how much certain things are real and they're not, as far as the behind the scenes stuff. But let's just let it be what it is and trust that they're making the right decisions here.
Kingston. Jeez.
And that it does deserve it. I missed it. I got it on the background though. That it does deserve it. But he's the future at the moment, it feels like, So they it's just like the Adam Page thing. Eventually it happened. It was the moment. And he's been such a tweener and a baby face since he come back, and that's been good. They've capitalized on the fact that people were excited to see him. Oh, Kingston gets a win. There we go. Nice one. Right, so Kingston's victorious before, of course, the main show's back to kick off in 11 minutes. Yeah, it was great to bring him back as basically a babyface. MJF, he's still been a heel, but he's a tweener. He's playing up to it, but he's got to turn full heel again. He's not turning full face, so he's got to turn full heel, and I think that's the way to do it. Win the title in a way, because people, it's not like Adam Page where everyone wanted to cheer it. Like, they need to do it. Well, they will, but they want it. You want to boo a good heel, and I think the way to get everyone back on side for doing that is a cheeky win. Do you know what I mean? And a Regal turn. I think it will get a cheer at first, but then people will play up to it. That'll be the kind of idea. And yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's MJF's moment. I think it makes a lot of sense to give him the title.
MJF has had moments against Punk. The one against Moxley before. It feels like even against Cody, there were moments he's always had that moment where he is that next guy.
Yeah.
But we don't want to give you him. We're going to give you Page. We're going to give you Omega. Yeah. We're going to give you Punk. And MJF, all these guys that I've just said, Punk's not around. Omega's in the trios match.
Yeah.
Page isn't around. And MJF is still that person that's like, I'm here.
Yeah, it'd
like,
be silly not to kind of
man.
capitalize on it and yeah, just how they've kind of built him up naturally. The return, yeah, he kind of got muted after the craziness at All Out, but like you say, he's been still there. Same as Moxley, still there. Come back off his holiday
Plus,
and you know, did all that. So
yeah. Plus, I think if they do it in a way where let's say, for example, they do whatever it is, if they done it the right way, they could write Mox off, and then when Moxley comes back again, he gets that big pop, and then MJF has done more heelish stuff. Mox isn't there to retaliate. Yeah. BBC could be there. Something can happen with it. It's just a build. Mox gets his holiday.
And stays away from the trios, you know, and stuff like that. Without it being like, why is he not in it? You know, so just as we got on screen here, very emotional Eddie Kingston. The two of them embraced each other at the end of the match as well.
And it's nice to see. I love when you get to see that in wrestling. It's just two guys. Let's go there. Let's put everything that we've got on the line in the ring. And then at the end, I'm going to show you.
I hope Eddie Kingston starts climbing back up the card again because I really enjoy him. I really, really enjoy him. Even that, the little work there, being like, ref, don't hold that arm, put the other arm up. You know, like, yeah, I love Kingston. Yeah, it'd be great to see more from him there. Right. Anyway, so you think MJF will win? You think he's gonna win, and you want him to win, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, that's pretty much bringing us up right on time for the show, Rob. We've got a few minutes here, so we'll stick with it. We've got Eddie Kingston giving a little bit of a promo. Let's listen to this. What's going on here? Don't thank me, he says. Is this in New Jersey? It is, ain't it?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Giving a lot of love to the heroes that have passed from Japanese wrestling that have passed on. Hope I made you proud tonight, he says. Just tells everyone to all the pay-per-view. Sticking up for Mox there as well. Oh, he gets booze for that. Woo! Colourful language there from Kingston.
I love Kingston. It's just great, isn't he? And it's so natural.
Yeah. The most unlikely but perfect spokesperson for the company as well. You know what I mean? Like, he's so AEW on his sleeve. Like, I remember when he you know, that clip come out about the Brody Lee event where he was backstage kind of, you know, geeing everyone up and kind of encouraging people and stuff like that. It was such a cool clip to see. And you can tell it means a lot to him. Great opportunity for him, but he's took it and he's deserved it. I think he's been so good. It's a shame what happened to him with the Sammy stuff and how he did kind of slip down the car, but I do hope this is a nice way for him to kind of start rebuilding.
I hope so. I hope this is the build, because how can you hate Eddie when it's just so lovely, like, with that sort of stuff. He's a great company man, like, really is. And I think I want to see more of that. You know, that Kingston that we just see then, you know, putting off just matches, and that's it. Like, there's no BS about it. Just matches, and then showing how much he loves the company.
It got really toxic for a while, didn't it? AEW, and hopefully we're past that. Of course, we're about to get into the main event now. They're running down the card as we've done tonight. Really do appreciate everyone that's joined us, either live or, again, I know some people do watch the build up on demand as well. Thank you, Rob, for joining me. Of course, we're going to be back tomorrow talking all things AEW. what do you call it? AEW Full Gear. We're all ready, sport ready. Thanks for joining us, buddy. We're about to sign off here, but of course,
come back tomorrow.
Will be available. Well, come back tomorrow, 12 p.m. GMT. We're going to be live doing a reaction, a recap and review of everything that goes down tonight on the event. But thanks for joining us anyway, mate. If you haven't been here from the start, of course, go back and check it out. We spent the last 2 hours really running down the card and getting ourselves and hopefully others hyped up for this event as well. First time doing AEW build-up show. First of many to come, I'm sure. And as always, good to chat wrestling with you, Rob. And we'll be back tomorrow as well. Hopefully, everything that we've been hoping this event would be will come true, and it will be us kind of falling back in love with AEW. Any other thoughts on that before we get out of here?
I can't wait to see what happens, man. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, mate. On that note, I'll say goodbye to you and goodbye to the viewers. Once again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.